The times are a-changin'. Jim, I'm going to give you 3 great things that are happening. The LA Times is replacing its entire editorial board to more closely reflect all opinions. After Donald Trump's landslide win, Hollywood claims it's going to be more welcoming to conservative actors and less woke. And apparently The View is desperate to find a Trumper to join.
Tyrus just torched woke Hollywood, and it's about time. From collapsing box office numbers to audience backlash, the woke agenda is finally backfiring. So stick around. We're breaking down how Tyrus exposed the industry's lies, failures, and fake virtue signals in epic fashion.
How long do you think this is going to last?
But it'd be great if it's true.
Yeah.
It really would be great. I mean, first they should start with, the Times, just anyone walking in, like, all right, the first thing we need to ask you is just, what's a woman?
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Okay, you can define that. Let's go. And as far as, you know what? As far as movies, again, common sense. I got nothing. If you're gay, knock yourself out. What you do behind closed doors. I'm tired of watching a Disney, and they got it at the end to Star Wars. My last Star Wars, at the big ending scene. Why is a chick like, wow, let's make out? Like, why are we watching? It's shoved in your face. It's an agenda. Good. Let them all. You know, I'd like to see on the View.
What?
Would be like Roseanne and like Candace right out of the gate.
Oh my.
That.
Roseanne, you know what?
Roseanne with a 9mm. Just
Roseanne is the most inspired choice.
Yes.
Because she, oh my God, that
She'd
would
be a monster.
Yeah, she would eat them alive. Or they would eat her.
Yeah.
That is true, though. You know, Kat, think about that choice. Like, would any sane person want that job at The View? Let's say you weren't working here, and they approached you, and they said, we need, like, and you're not a Trumper, but let's say they wanted, like, an opposing perspective.
Well, just any kind of opposing perspective, right? Because the concern, I mean, there's no argument anymore on The View, right? I don't know why you'd want. I don't know why you'd want it.
Yeah, they'd have to pay you a lot of money.
But I was gonna say everybody has their price, right? Yes. There's plenty of things that you don't want to do that you will do for a certain amount of money. That's what is the foundation of the entire economy.
Yes.
So, yeah, but also speaking of, Hollywood was never woke.
Yeah.
Hollywood's not going away from woke. It wasn't woke before. It was just that after the summer of 2020, everyone was so scared of getting fired that they were like, we better just make sure all movies are all black gay people. You know what I mean? Like, that's an exaggeration, but that was what they thought people wanted. That's that they were reading on social media. That's what people wanted. They didn't want to get fired. They were like, rather than push it with this joke or having this lead be a straight white person, let's just not. And then now, but they're not making the money that they thought they would because they thought they were going to lose money. They were so scared of losing money that they forgot to make movies that make money. So that's why they're changing. They want the audience. They don't actually care.
Yeah, you know, Tyrus, I'm a little depressed because I was looking forward to a trans James Bond, and it's not going to happen.
You had Disney shoving same-sex kisses into Star Wars, random identity swaps in every franchise reboot, and casting done based on DEI quotas, not talent. And what happened? Billions lost. Fans walked away. Audiences don't want lectures. They want stories. They want characters. They want common sense. Even they realize the tide is turning. Let's call it what it is, desperation. The system is collapsing under the weight of its own hypocrisy. They pushed division and platformed race-obsessed extremists and now have to live with the consequences.
Well, Greg, there was a long line that you were in, and I'm sorry for you and the thousands of constituents.
It is about money, though, right? They're losing money.
No, they were forced, they were blackmailed into hiring these DEI directors and producers. That's right. So it wasn't they were telling them what they needed to do because they had, you know, a million fake bots on X telling them that they were relevant, and they made these movies that nobody would watch. So it's really, they're going to have to stop hiring people based off of their sexual orientation and how they look in the mirror, opposed to, can you actually direct a movie that makes sense. I don't care if you mail order horses, but if you can make a movie that I can watch without going, why? Okay? So it's not even that. And The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being attacked. So the problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if be the CEO goes, you know what? I'm not going to allow a woman on my show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racists on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah, you know, Emily.
Tyrus said it perfectly. They don't need a Trump voter on The View. They need to fire the race baiters. They let people get on air and bash white America day after day. Then they wonder why the ratings are tanking. They wonder why working class Americans have tuned out completely. You can't talk unity while pushing division. You can't cry racism while platforming racist. Drop a comment. Do you think Hollywood is actually going to change or just faking it to survive? Smash that like button if you're done with woke entertainment, and don't forget to subscribe.